I'm back with my Paris investments and I've got the most aggressive spread I have ever done before. Now, why am I investing today? Well, today is the start of my investing process. I'm not going to pick up every capsule overnight. However, I'm going to start accumulating, so I wanted to let you know. But the biggest reason is one we're going to talk about in a quick second. Otherwise, though, I do think the market is in a pretty decent situation when we've got about all the information we're going to get. We're not going to be getting too much more information other than the one I'm going to talk about in a quick second. The sponsor for today's video is SkinSwap. Now, SkinSwap is the premier place for CSGO skins and Rust skins. They've got a trading feature with highly competitive rates. They've got a super easy to use selling feature. And if you're looking to deposit today, you're going to be getting a 40% bonus on your deposit. And the best thing, if you sign up with the link in the description, you're going to be getting a free case worth up to $150. So what are you waiting for? Join today and fill all of your CSGO skin needs. And that one is the fact that Valve watched my video and went ahead and updated their currencies. They updated the 3 most cheap currencies and made them all over 25 cents. Not even 25 cents or close to it, over 25 cents. Those are going to be your Turkish lira, your Russian ruble, and your Argentine peso. In fact, the new average currency is almost 25.7 cents, a significant increase from the 25.5 cents before. This is very interesting because it shows that Valve is definitely watching and they're definitely out there making sure people are not able to get these capsules for super cheap. In fact, the next cheapest option is actually just below 24 cents. That's the Japanese yen at 33 per one capsule. Now, diving into investments, looking at Souvenir Packages specifically, I'm not going to be picking up too many of them. In fact, I'm not going to be picking up any extra, and that's because I just don't see a ton of potential with this. If we want to look at the Mirage package previously, it hit its absolute peak at maybe 300%. Compare that to nearly any capsule investment from its respective major Stockholm or even Antwerp, and you're going to see that there was a significant difference. And that's the peak we're talking about. If we want to look at prices now, these packages for Mirage are sitting at maybe 20% profit, if that. Basically, these things are very prone to hype, and honestly, if a hype happens, I think it's going to be more beneficial for the capsules rather than the packages. Now, diving into my investing strategy, usually I invest into every single capsule, and it's no different here. However, usually I'm a lot more balanced. This year, I've got a massively different spread than I've ever had before, and that's because I've specifically targeted in on the capsules I think are going to be the most beneficial. And starting off with that is the autograph, specifically the Contenders Autograph. This one I'm putting 16% of my money into, and that's because this one has the most potential out of the autograph capsules in my personal opinion. If we want to look at the autographs that are in demand, this one stacks up very nicely at spots 1, 2, and 3, which is really impressive for an autograph capsule. Now, that's just specifically talking about the hollows, but overall, I think this capsule is definitely the strongest. If we want to look at what happened with Antwerp, we can see that the capsule that contained the Rocks Hollow did significantly better than the other 3 capsules that were available with autographs. And I think the exact same thing is most likely going to happen here, where we see this capsule just significantly more in demand than the other 3. Now, for the next one, the Challengers Autograph, I'm putting 6% of my money into this one. This one does have a couple decent ones. We're talking about G2, we're talking about Gamer Legion, and we're talking about the Monty lineups there in this one. But to be honest with you, a lot of the value lies in the golds, and I just don't see a ton of potential with this one, honestly speaking. I'm picking up a couple just in case someone absolutely blows up, and that's the reason I'm also going to be picking up some of the Legends Autograph capsules, 6% there as well, just because I want to make sure all across the board, if some capsule does blow up out of nowhere, I at least have some of them. I'm not going too heavy into these ones because I find it highly unlikely that the capsule that contains Zywoo and Simple's autograph is going to absolutely blow up, just because they have a lot of competition at the current moment, and that other competition is not expensive at all, but it is a possibility, and I want to make sure I have my bases covered. And for the Champions Autograph, I'm putting 2% there, which is legitimately just a couple capsules. I'm probably not going to invest more than $1,000, but I just don't really see a ton of potential here, and I'm only going 2% for that reason. Now, moving on into the sticker capsules, I've got the Legends at 18%, which is the smallest of the 3. And looking at this Legends capsule, I'm really nervous about this one. That's because if we want to look at what stickers are really in demand here, we see the Furia Hollow, we see Na'Vi at number 2, which is usually not the greatest sign considering Na'Vi is legitimately in every Legends capsule. And I really want to show that off by looking at the Stockholm and the Antwerp Legends capsule. Now, the Stockholm Legends capsule was the worst performing of the 3 for Stockholm, and as you can see right here, it had a really distinct trend, and that's the fact that there was not one team that exclusively dominated all across the board. Compare that to Antwerp, where we see the exact opposite, where we see Cloud9 absolutely demolish this one, almost 6 times more expensive in the glitter and the paper category, and over 2 times more expensive in the hollows and the golds. Therefore, for that reason, I don't see a huge amount of potential with this one compared to the other 2 capsules, so I'm only putting 18% here, which is still a decent amount, and I definitely think this one has potential to blow up, but it's going to be really dependent on the supply, which is going to be obviously a common factor all across the board here. Now, coming in the number 2 spot is the Contenders sticker capsule, coming in at 24.5% of my total investment. Now, this one I think has got a lot of things when you're looking for an ideal investment. It's got one sticker that dominates all across the board that's going to keep that same amount of demand most likely for the near future. I don't expect the Mouse Hollow to drop off in the amount of people that want it. It's also got some up and coming stickers, like you've got the Fluxo, which has no good comparisons, and you've also got the Liquid and Phase and Complexity, which are okay teams with okay stickers that are always going to look relatively decent. Now, with that being said, the biggest issue for this one is 100% going to be the supply. This is the sticker capsule people are looking at when they are going to invest into Paris, and that's because on the surface, it's probably the most obvious when it comes to a decent sticker capsule. Like we just mentioned, it's got the Mouse all across the board, which is super expensive, which attracts a lot of people, and it's got some okay teams inside of it. You got the Greyhound sticker. Greyhound usually is terrible, but it's got at least an okay color scheme this time. And finally, the sticker capsule I'm putting 27.5% of my total investment into is the Challengers, and I've been thoroughly surprised by this Challenger sticker capsule this entire time. This one's got legitimately everything I look for. If we want to look all across the board, Apex has a lot of demand from this one, but it's also not skimping out on any of the other prices. This is the reason why this one is such a high ROI currently, is because all of these other hollows are in demand. You've got Pain Gaming, Gamer Legion, and G2, which are all relatively expensive, but if we want to look at the ones that are not currently expensive, they have a lot of potential to be, other than NIP. Monty, OG, and Fours all are actually really unique and decent looking logos, which in my opinion definitely have some potential in the future. NIP sucks, but that's what happens when you have a capsule. Not everyone is perfect. Now, in the past, people really didn't like when I discussed my investment afterwards, so we're doing it ahead of time this time. We're doing it by percentages just to keep it a little bit more clear, and also we're not talking about any stickers today because stickers are still way too expensive. If we go back to what we had mentioned earlier with Antwerp and what I talked about in a different video, Antwerp ROI was really high for hollows, but if we look at the hollows now, they're way too expensive. Even the glitters, for some cases, are a little bit more expensive than I would personally invest into, which makes the capsules a very appealing investment, and more appealing than they honestly should be at this point, considering at the previous most comparable major, which was Antwerp, the glitters and the sticker capsules actually performed the exact same pretty much. But that's all I got. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you have a great rest of your day.